this will be available to you, and it will be available to the rest of the class too. So I want you guys all to know that it's going to be recorded, because hopefully some of you will participate in this, because that's the sort of idea, is that we have a platform here where we can take the stage, and I can have some of you take the stage, and we can do various sort of fun things together while we learn. And that's the sort of goal of this. So welcome, formal welcome. This is the persuasion game, as we're calling it. So let me start with the why. Why are we doing this? Again, this will not be covered by any exam. This is part of the course that's, we'll say, optional, but really this will help you for the final project in the course. And that's why I'm actually doing this today. In your final project, you're going to be working in a group with others. You'll be simulating a marketing company, and you'll be basically working with a client, and that client will be asking you to create what we're going to call public service announcements, some sort of message, some sort of communication, and it could take any form, written form. It could be an ad, could be a radio ad, could be a social media, platform kind of thing, whatever you decide. But the idea of your message will be that you're going to try to persuade people, to consider the message of this entity you're working with. And there's going to be two entities. One will be what we call ban ads for gambling. They are a group that are trying to stop the advertising of sports gambling. They're not trying to stop sports gambling. They still want you to be sports gambling, but they want to make it more like, say, cannabis, where people can go ahead and smoke cannabis, but we don't have ads bombarded at us on the television and on the radio suggesting that we should smoke cannabis. And so they want to ban those ads, just like, again, cannabis. The other group is the Genwell Challenge, or the Genwell Initiative, and they're going to try to convince humans about the importance of social connection. So two different organizations, two different messages that they're trying to push, but your task will be to help them, to basically suggest a way they can convince others of the importance of what they feel is so important. And so this is what we call persuasion. And it's it's an important part of psychology in general. It's an important part of life. Now we see it played out mostly in like ads. If you're in marketing or if you're in sales, your job is to persuade people that they need your product, or that at least your product will make their life better in some way. And so those jobs are all about persuasion. But persuasion is important anyway, everywhere. If you have an idea and you want to pitch your idea and you want somebody to give you some money to bring your idea to life, you have to persuade them your idea is good. If you find some significant other in life that you would like to spend the rest of your life with, you have to persuade them that you should be the one for them. And so continually, our ability to persuade others really kind of allows us to create and form the sort of life we want. And it allows us to sort of dictate how much our ideas will come to life and have an impact outside of our head. So persuasion is a really important skill to learn. And what you're going to see today is there's different psychological approaches to it. Okay, so what are we going to do today? I'm going to start with a little bit of a PowerPoint, a little bit of me talking, but then we're going to go to attempts by you guys to persuade. And so we're going to talk about different methods of persuasion, and then we're going to live them out. We're going to have fun with them, and try to see play them out as they were. And so let me begin with that slideshow, because that's the boring academic part, and then we'll get to the fun part where we can play with this platform a little bit more. Okay, I also have to remember how to steer this platform a little bit. Oh, actually, okay. So now that I'm looking at the steer thing, I realize there are things I can do along the way. And so let's start with this. Please plug in a user or skip. The next prompt is a challenge. Okay, so what we want, so I would like a somebody to volunteer, and I'm still learning how to drive this platform as well, so bear with me as I go through. And basically, let's do some examples just to kind of bring this to life. So who wants to give an example of being persuaded of something? And this could be a good example. This could be, hey, somebody persuaded me to do something and I'm really thankful they did. Or it can be a really bad example. somebody persuaded me to do something that I wish I'd never done. I'll start, and then one of you can start. One of you can follow. We got a phone call once, my wife and I, from a timeshare thing. Beware the timeshares; they know persuasion so well. And they said, "Hey, come down to Blue Mountain. We'll give you a night out in Blue Mountain, and all you have to do is attend this seminar, a 1 hour seminar." Where we tell you about timeshares. And of course, we went down there saying, yeah, we'll attend their webinar and whatever, we'll walk away and we'll enjoy Blue Mountain. And cool, we got a free night. We walked out of that seminar being persuaded to buy into this timeshare idea. They were so amazing at their ability to we literally woke up the next morning and we said, what did we do? Why did we do this? How did they convince us to do it? And I almost felt like I'd been hypnotized. I felt like somehow I'd been kind of convinced to do it. And we ended up enjoying some of the timeshare stuff and then we got out of it. So it wasn't horrible, but that morning it was horrible. That morning I'd felt like somebody had totally persuaded me of something to do something that I didn't really want to do and had no intention of doing. So now, anybody else want to give us an example? So, how do I do this? I know I can just swap people in and out of things, but I'm not sure how I know. So, let me do it this way. If you would like to give an example and sort of help me with this platform and showing it off, can you just turn your camera on, especially if you're in one of the wings? So, if you're in the to the left of me or to the right of me, can you just turn your camera on if you're willing to persuade? Otherwise, I can invite. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. Okay, so I'm going to invite, and I think the first person that accepts this invite will come up and take my place. Maybe I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm inviting. Anything happen? Dum da dum dum. I should keep. Here we. Okay, excellent. I have a person here. Fantastic. Let me just. Okay, I'm gonna try. Oh, hang on. Again, it's gonna take me a little bit of clumsying around to do this. Two users on stage. And now I think I can click on user to replace. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Again, learning as I go. So I think we can unmute you. And yeah, go ahead. Please share your time and introduce yourself to the class too. Let's be human about this. Just say hi. Let us know who you are, and then feel free to share your story.
Hello, I'm Miriam, but everyone calls me by my middle name, Mamina.
Hmm.
I'm a second year here at UTSC with a major in biology and then two minors in psychology and health humanities. Um, and so yeah, that's a little bit of me. And
Yeah.
so I guess an example of like persuasion is like the other day, I was just talking with one of my friends, and recently she sprained her ankle, and so um, there's been many activities where she had to like hold off or like postpone because of her injury. Um, and so there was this like meeting that she had to go to. She's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to go, but I don't feel like going." And I'm like, "You should just tell them about your ankle and just not go, even if you think it's mandatory. Just let them know." And so she did. And so, they gave her the grace and she didn't have to attend the meeting. But it turns out, like tried, had she considered going to the meeting, she would have traveled all the way from the South Campus here at UTSC all the way to IA,
Hmm.
which is really far if you're on crutches.
Yep.
So she was
So
even telling me that she was like grateful that I managed to convince her to not go.
fantastic. So you
So yeah.
persuaded her that it was better not to go to that meeting. Fantastic. Perfect.
Mhm.
That sounds good. Let's just, if you hold on for a second, let's see if there's one other. Anybody else want to, especially if you're in the wings again, if you want to turn on your camera, I can try. Let me hit invite again. I'm sure Paul's somewhere in the background going. It's like he's let me drive his car, and now he has to watch me flounder around and bounce off curbs and stuff. So I just hit the invite button again. I don't know if that sends anything out to you, but if anybody else would like to accept that invite, or okay, there we go. So now let me do that. There we go. Cool. Okay, I'm getting the hang of this. So I see two others, and we'll let both of each of you do your thing, and then we'll move on to the PowerPoint. So please, same idea. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then give us your story. You're definitely, yeah.
Hi, sorry, I'm still recovering from a cold. But my name is Joanna. I'm in first year and I'm hoping to do mental health studies and health policy in the future. And the other day I was attending this session with the idea that it would be like how to prepare yourself to apply to law school or stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it turned out to be a whole session. It was like 1 hour, 30 minutes of her trying to sell her program, which is $3,000 for
Ooh.
3 months that she does not mention, but she did it through persuade, like kind of buying into our worries about getting
Mm.
into school. And so it was like an hour and 30 minutes of you're gonna be okay. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. And yeah.
Yeah, so almost so you ended up feeling probably less persuaded by the time that's the feeling I get, that by the time you left, you were less interested than when you walked in.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, great example. That's an example of sort of persuasion gone wrong, right? Where somebody is trying to do it, but they're not quite doing it in a deft sort of way, I guess. Cool. Hey, you're on center stage now. This is cool. I can just throw people on center stage. Please go ahead and share yours.
Working.
Sure.
Hello.
Yeah. Introduce yourself and share your story.
All right. Hi. My name's Ian, and I'm first year, and I'm hoping to do psycholinguistics and a music minor. Um, and I'm not from Manitoba, but this is really funny because nobody from the States knows what Manitoba is. So, farm teams for the Jets, even though I don't
Cool.
even like the Jets. Anyway, I was talking at breakfast today, and I was talking about this app called Habitica, and it's like this kind of task app, and it makes your tasks into a video game. So as you do your task and you complete them, you level up your character. I love video games. I hate
Oh wow!
tasks.
What a great!
So
I
I'm
want to
making it
know more
myself
about that
to.
app. That
I'm
sounds
actually persuading myself to to do the tasks. And
yeah.
I was talking to my friend about it, and I was able to persuade her to download it. She doesn't even like video games, so I just find it interesting how that works. She's more of like the I wanted to get my tasks done. So I mean, for me, it's been this whole week has been about persuading myself not to procrastinate. It's weird when you try to persuade yourself because it's like you kind of know what you're trying to do, but you're also still trying to persuade
Yep.
yourself. Like it's like your own audience,
Yeah.
and that's very hard because you're also your own worst critic. So it's a very weird thing.
Yep, such an important skill. That those sort of self-control, time management, all that stuff, and yeah, it does involve persuading yourself. I think that app sounds fantastic. I want to know more because students are continually procrastination is a major thing. A lot of you run into, and I could create a little video actually talking about the psychology of procrastination and some of the things around it. But from what I know, that app gamifying getting tasks done, that would be a great idea. Fantastic. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do for a second here. So I'm gonna go back and make it just me. I'm gonna warn you eventually that I'm going to ask people when we get to the game stuff, I'm gonna ask the people in the wings to potentially keep your cameras on because we'd like to see some reactions and I'm gonna see you as teammates of the people on stage. So I'm gonna especially be looking for people willing to turn their camera on at that point. But let's worry about that when we get there. What I'm going to do now is go to a brief PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll get to the game itself. So this will be quick, but important to kind of set the stage. So let me share the screen, go with my entire screen, flip over here real quick so that we don't infinite regress. Let me go back a bit. Okay. So, um, persuasion. It is a real topic of research in psychology. People are scientifically studying what is the best way to convince somebody else to at least consider a point of view that you hold and that they may not hold when they come in. So, can you actually get somebody to come to your position on some issue? And of course, we like to do this a lot. I've mentioned to you that there's a lot of advantages if you're good at this. And so let's talk about the psychology. And we're going to talk about it at a couple levels, but most of the time today, we're going to talk about these two, what people call the two roots of persuasion. There's the one we sometimes think about, and then there's the really common one that's being used against us all the time. So here are the two roots. And we're going to focus on the central root first, and then we'll spend more time on the peripheral root. But first, let me give you the overview on both of them. The central root, this is in a context where you are openly trying to convince somebody. It's kind of like that example that was just given of the person that said, "Hey, come learn about our programs or come whatever." And then when you get in there, it's a sales pitch, right? But it's a sales pitch that's directed towards an audience theoretically that's listening carefully, so is motivated and analytical. In fact, I would love you to consider like the TED Talk context, if you know TED Talks. And so when TED Talks, people go to those TED Talks to hear other people tell them things. And often those other people are presenting some point of view on some issue. And so the people that are in the audience are motivated to learn. They're there because they want to be. And they're very analytical. They're thinking hard about what you're saying. And so this means that it takes a lot of effort. So if we talk about the cognitive processing that's involved here, it's effortful processing because these people are consciously evaluating the message. So this would be like the student that's in that program meeting, right? This person's going on about their program and why it's so valuable, and you're sitting there going, "I don't know. I'm not sure I'm buying everything you're saying." And so you're really listening to the argument carefully, and you're evaluating it as you go. Now, here's the good thing about the central route. If you are able to convince somebody in this very explicit way, then you can produce long-lasting change in their attitude. So, for example, in the example about the procrastination with the different checklists where you get, hey, you completed that, fantastic. If that person really says, you know what, I will try that app. You've convinced me. You've given me the argument. I've thought about the argument. It makes sense to me. I will use that app. And then if they try using the app and everything's good, this could be something they use for the rest of their life. It could have a long lasting change, and you may even change their attitude about apps and gamification more generally. That you might produce a change where they're suddenly more open to considering these sorts of things in the future. Okay. So there's a lot of effort. It's a real conscious attempt to convince somebody of something, but it can lead to long lasting change. We're going to have fun with this one next. And then we'll move on to the peripheral route. Now, the peripheral route is more common. The best way to think of that is like the ads on TV, right? And so you're sitting and you're watching a show on TV, and then these ads come on. And so typically, you're not really listening to the ads that much. And you certainly don't have that same TED Talk mentality where you're consciously evaluating everything that's being said. You're probably relaxing. Maybe you're going to grab, some water or something, where you got your feet up. And as soon as the ad comes up, your mind seems to go somewhere else, right? You're not focused on it. And so there's low effort in terms of the messenger to give you a bunch of rational reasons. Instead, they tend to use what we call cues outside of the message. So they're telling you about something, but they're really presenting it in a context that makes that thing attractive. And it's everything they associate with often their product. So imagine, your typical ad. Imagine a car ad, and we'll look at some ads as we go through. But a car ad, seldom do they really get into here's how many miles per gallon, here's the warranty, here's the average repair record, here, all the rational things you should think about when you're buying a car. Instead, what do? Well, they show you an attractive family in the car going up into the mountains, having fun by a lake with canoes, and they associate their car with all these positive things we like, and that makes us like their car. Okay, so through association, we can build connections between our product and things people like, and that will make them like our product. It tends to produce temporary changes in attitude. Often, this peripheral route is used just to try to convince somebody to buy something next time they're in the grocery store, or something like that. Okay, so we will talk now about a little of each of them, but we're going to focus on the central route. And so I'm going to get out of the slideshow now, and we're going to try to do our crazy thing. So stop sharing. Here we go. Get my little target list up. Now I'm doing debate time. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and this will be fun just to try to make this happen. So I'm going to put 3 of us on stage. And so right now you just might get thrown on stage. Be patient with me if you do. Okay. There we have 3 of us. Although I may make it one at a time when we get there, or maybe not. We can do this. And what I'm going to do is do an invite again, and we're going to have this debate around the question of, is the acceleration of AI good or bad for humanity? And so I want volunteers. So I want to pick a couple of volunteers for the stage, but also potentially for the six on each side, what I'm going to call the wings. And here's how the debate is going to go. The two people on center stage are each going to take a side, and we'll just decide who's on the AI is good and who's on the AI is bad side. We're going to give each of them a couple of minutes to make their argument. And then those who are in the wings are going to be considered on the team of one of the people. And so if a couple of people on the wings want to add to the argument, if they think, okay, yeah, I like what my person said, but I want to add something else to it, then we'll bring we'll bring three of them on stage, each to get a minute to add to the argument. Okay, and so we'll end up with 5 minutes of argument for why it's good, 5 minutes why it's bad. Now, before we do any of this, though, I want to know where you guys stand now. Then we'll have the debates, and then we'll see where you stand then. And the question is, who's able to persuade you better? Now, this is all direct route, right? We're all paying attention. We're going to think about their arguments, and then we're going to ultimately say what we believe. So let's see. I'm not sure if I should invite now or RTR now. Let's do the invite. So I'm going to say invite, and I'm ultimately throwing that out there. Ultimately, I'm hoping to get two people on stage. So if you're happy and willing to play this game, please have your camera open. Having your camera open will tell me, hey, I'm happy to participate. And I think the people who accept, there we go. We've got some. So I think I can do this, and I can do this. And hey, we have our two primary contestants. So you two are our leaders.
How are you doing?
Whoever just opened your mic, please close your mic if possible. I thought there was a way to make your backgrounds. I don't see the way to make your backgrounds all blue. That's okay. So we have. If you guys let's just talk to each of you guys first of all quickly. Find your names, and then we'll go. Let's start. Who wants to open their mic first and introduce themselves to the class? We'll go from there.
Hi.
Yep.
My name is Ali. I'm a first year. I'm
Both.
trying to go into the mental health department or the psychology department. I still haven't decided yet. And yeah, nice to meet you all. I will say I'm on the pro AI side for now.
Okay, well, let's see. We may have to roll a dice on that because you might both want to be on the pro. But let's see. Let's see what our other contestant of the day says. Please introduce yourself.
My name's Kajit. I'm also a first year. I'm looking to go into neuroscience specialist, preferably.
Cool. Do you care whether you're on the pro or the anti side of the debate, or the good or the bad side of the debate?
Originally, I was thinking about being pro, but well, I can always be the opposite.
You're willing to that? Okay, thanks for doing that. So we'll do we'll call them Team Blue and Team White just from the backgrounds. It's easy to kind of do it that way. I thought there was a way I was going to be able to do backgrounds, but I don't see it right off. But for all of the ones now to my which is actually my left. I don't know what it is. Oh, there we go. We've got Paul's coming up for us and doing the backgrounds. All right. So he will probably make these black backgrounds work so that these ones will all be blue and these ones will all be red on the other. And here's sort of the teams that go with these guys. So they're going to start and then we're going to bring others in. But before we do that, we are going to do something they call a read the room, which is just, I'm going to launch it now. And so you should see something up there that says, okay, ask call to answer. Here we go. Again. Okay. All right, Paul. I see an ask all to answer button, but when I click on the button, nothing's happening. Do you guys see, does anybody see a poll that asks you whether it's, okay, maybe actually.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Please go ahead and answer that. That's going to tell us where people are right now. as they walk in the room. And I guess it's ongoing. So note to Paul, I'll make a few notes to Paul as we go on. There's not a lot of feedback right here letting me know what's going on. So I'm used to seeing answers coming in or something like that and getting a sense of when to stop. Okay. So I'm going to just click on next, Paul, because that's my assumption about what I should be doing. We should have had a back channel. Let's hear from contestant one. Okay, hang on with the contestant one. So we didn't see the results of that poll, and that was probably my fault, was it? Okay, so it's still going. Ask all the answer. I still see that. Struggling here a little. Oh, okay. Now the timer's dropping. Okay. I can see. I bet Paul in the background is doing all sorts of crazy things. So my timer is dropping 5, 4, 3. So I assume we'll see something after this. And this will probably all get smoothly. It's down to 0. Okay. And I see the question again, but I don't want the question again yet. There's Paul. Hey, Paul, can you open your mic and tell me why I'm messed up here?
Sure. It's important to press text and display. So if you click display, the guessing question will appear and everybody can guess. No, Ellie needs to guess.
Oh, hang on. So it went back to a previous one. Hang on. Debate time. Is acceleration good or bad? So we should be here. And now
everyone votes.
Everyone votes. So I've got a countdown happening now.
And at the
so
end,
this is Paul, by the way, everyone.
At the end of the countdown, you press next and display, and then you can. And then one of the people on stage needs to guess what the majority of the audience has selected.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll let you do that, Kajith, I guess. What do you think the majority of the audience selected?
You need to press display, or
I
what
need
is it
to
showing?
press display.
And now, Kajith, yep. Unfortunately, you got the wrong one. 59% thought that the answer was bad.
Okay, 59% think it's bad. Okay, that's the number I really wanted to know. So that guessing part's kind of cool. I'm not going to replace. Do I have to replace him now? It says replace him. I don't have to replace him.
You don't have to.
Okay, good.
That was a $5 question that you missed out on.
That was a $5 question. Somebody got $5 for that, or it got split amongst everybody or something. I don't know. There's money changing hands here somehow behind the scenes too. We'll figure
Nobody
it out.
won because the question was a guess and the wrong guess was selected.
Okay, so I'm still kind of sorting this all out too. So that's great. The critical thing though I want to write down is 59% said bad. Cool. And so now we're going to give you each a stage. So first of all, if anybody would like to join Team Red, well, first of all, let me say those of you in the wings, could I ask you to open your cameras? Because partly I would like to be able to see the reactions to the things that are said. I would like others. Plus, it's just so much more human to see your faces. Look at that, so much better. Yeah, and so if you're turning on your camera, then after the 2 minutes, just raise your hand if you think you would like to chime in too, and then I'll swap you in. And so we'll do all of the red side first, which was the bad. You're on the bad side, right? And then we will flip to the blue argument. So go ahead. Let me get my little. Maybe there's some other clock timer going too. I don't know, but I will get my little timer going, and we will have fun. All right, reset. All right, you have 2 minutes, my friend, to explain to everybody why AI is bad. Whenever you're ready.
Well, I think the acceleration of AI is bad because the main concern is I don't think we are ready as a general collectivity to adapt to it. When you look at in classrooms and education, which is a very important place where AI is involved, a lot of students are using it. Teachers, not so much. It's all a big mess in there, especially. Students are using it, but the way they're using it is not correct in a sense because quite often we see a lot of cheating. If there's online evaluations like tests, quiz, all that, students can quite often just go, "What is the answer to this?" Da, 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 da. I got the answer. Puts it down. Maybe right, maybe wrong. Not a problem. AI can always confabulate, like you told us in class.
Yeah.
Another thing, teachers quite often from what I've seen in high school before I came to university, all the teachers like, let's put that aside. If you use AI, whatever, anything, you get zero. We don't want AI. We do not know how to use AI and we cannot control it. Even in university, you can look at the chemistry course, you can look at the biology course, they'll say, do not use AI. If you use an AI for any reason, even researching your topic. Mm. So goes to show we're not ready. It's accelerating too fast. Not a good thing. It's a bad thing. That's my
Perfect. Perfect. You're a little quick, but that's good. Nice, punchy point there. Who would like to, from the red side, who would like to add a point or two to that? Anybody?
I can add one.
Okay, let me. Sorry, who said that?
It's Ranash. My laptop's camera doesn't work, so I cannot turn it on.
Oh, I can't swap you in then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. You can be a
I
voice.
apologize for that.
That's okay. Go ahead. Give us your
Okay.
point.
Instead of adding a new argument, I just wanted to add further analysis into. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
We can call it Team Red's argument.
Yeah, Team Red's argument is that why are people more likely to use AI in an exploitative manner as compared to a manner that they can learn from? And I think we have to consider the major stakeholder here, which is the general public and students, is that we all grew up with social media and we all grew up with a sort of sense of instant gratification, getting what we want as quickly as possible. And we have that sense of impatience integrated into us, right? So when we want information, instead of getting that information and consuming it in a way that we'll understand and gain knowledge from, we take it in a way that, okay, I just need to use this for my assignment, whatever, and just get it done with. So I think it's important to characterize this argument in a way that the people who are using it in a way that's not going to benefit them intellectually. They're using it just to complete their assignments, just to complete their homework. And I think that's why this argument is really, really strong on our side. And another thing, sorry, just quick thing that I'm gonna add, people use these tools in their formative years. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are using it as they're growing up. So when you use tools like these in your formative years, it has a much higher impact on your intelligence and your critical thinking skills as opposed to you using it in your adult years. So I think the future impact is also really, really large. Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting and well stated. Well done. Anybody else from Team Red? We'll do three. We'll do three people per side. So who else would like to chime in? And if you're on the wings, great. But I guess even if you're not, that's fine. Let's get the arguments out there. That's great. Got a third volunteer? No, you're gonna sit. You're gonna sit tight. Hold your cards with two arguments, or don't want to raise. Going out. Okay, I'll do a few moments of awkward silence just to give someone a chance. All right, Team Red rests. but some good arguments there, absolutely. Let's go over to Team Blue, and please go ahead and make your original first case.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not really good at persuading, but I'll try anyways. The first reason why I think acceleration of AI is very good for the humanity is because the involvement of technology always goes to branch on to involvement of new things. As AI is developed as far as wide, of course it has drawbacks and side effects such as exploitment. There's also many ways and many departments, including jobs or opportunities that AI can shine. If, for example, LinkedIn currently has an AI job coach that is run by AI and that is personalized for everybody, and without spending thousands of dollars on job coaching and hiring for every single user that is on LinkedIn, that is technically not impossible for a human job to do. AI can do that in one go with just proper payment, and it's personalized for everybody's, and everybody is on step by their own terms. So I think that's very, very nice. And also, by this acceleration of AI, I think a lot of people are getting new opportunities that they're partially weren't supposed to have, not weren't supposed to have, or couldn't have. Such as for me, AI, simple AI of like text to speech or asking questions through simple speeches will that give a lot of opportunity to disabled or partially people who don't have much access to education or something in a topic matter. If you can ask AI the simple question of asking somebody, sure, it can be incorrect or correct, but that could be developed as time goes on and how AI develops. I think that gives it a lot of opportunities to learn things through AI, since in the real time we have to like dig through research or actually meet somebody who has a knowledge for it. People say it's instant gratification, but I believe it's a lot more easier accessibility instead of instant gratification.
Fantastic. Cool. Anybody else from Team Blue? So let me go to the wings first. I see 3 of you with your camera open. Would any of you like to jump into this debate? Yeah. Okay. So now let me just do a little fancy. There we go. Boom. You're in. So go ahead and add your points to the. This is the pro side now. Why it's good. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
All good.
Okay, so I think AI definitely has downsides and like upsides. Like if you think of a knife, if you give it to a serial killer, obviously it's not gonna end up with like any positive outcome. But if you give it to like a chef, you're gonna end up with a pretty delicious meal, right? So if you think about it, AI has actually had a lot of benefits in like research and medicine and stuff like that. Because up till now, our methods of like predicting protein structures were just like X-ray crystallography and stuff like that. We didn't like we had the amino acid sequence for them, but like we couldn't like know how they connected to fold to make a protein structure. But AI can do that, and the mechanisms behind like the way AI thinks aren't really like well known, right? It's like a black box kind of thing. So we can't like figure out how those proteins are assembled from those amino acids on our own, but AI can do that. So, and that's like really life saving, right? Because it can help with the production of sorry, with the production of many medicines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So again, it has risks, like they mentioned, with like people just like being lazy and not like learning things properly the way they're meant to. But it also has like benefits which can definitely outweigh like the downsides. So like with any tech, with anything, pretty much there are upsides and downsides. And what we're meant to do is like the human race is like look at the downsides and the upsides and weigh them together and figure out like, is this thing worth what we're paying for it?
Cool. Fantastic. Thank you. Anybody else want to add to the blue side of the argument? The pro? Yep. Okay, hang on. Let me do a quick little swap of you. There we go. Please.
Hi. Is everyone can hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
All good.
Just to add on to like what the first person said about accessibility and just how we're supposed to see the second person and saying how we're supposed to see the good and the bad in the situation. I feel like AI is a really good tool, and I feel like you could say the same thing for Google or even a textbook in regards of, oh, you can use it for cheating. If I know what chapter I'm gonna be like tested on in a test, I can go to that chapter. Sure, it'll take longer, but I'll still eventually find the answer if I really look for it, and goes for notes and all that stuff. But I feel like AI helps you like overall understand the concept. An example I use is that I was doing like a research project a few weeks ago, and while I was reading, I was really not comprehending what they were saying. I feel like the terminology used was just a little bit too broad for me. So I took a segment of it and just copied and pasted it into the AI and asked it to just kind of paraphrase or simplify it for me so I can have an overall understanding of it. And that helped a lot. So I feel like just like the second person just said here, it's just really how you use that tool and it'll give like an overall benefit. Also, it's really great for like checking over things, especially if you don't have the time to go to someone physically to check over like an assignment or something, like reference pages, just to make sure that everything's fine. Like it's a great tool, but it's just how you use it.
Fantastic. Perfect. Great, everybody. Thank you. Let me flip here. Take center stage. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Really cool. So, I mean, we could talk AI all day, and actually, I would love to have a session where I just chat with you guys about AI because I'm sort of living in the middle of that world. But we were actually using the AI here more as an example of a central route sort of approach, right? Where people were giving rational arguments and examples and trying to make you think, and maybe reconsider your own position on where you are. So they were trying in a very direct or central way to persuade you to their perspective. And so now what we want to see is, did it work? Did you sway? And I'm obviously going to learning from these a little. Okay, so I was supposed to be nexting along my way here, but I can just jump, right, Paul? I can jump to the here, I think. Yeah. And so hopefully you are seeing the same sort of poll.
This only works if there's someone on stage to
Oh,
answer the one question. I
all right.
guess.
Oh,
Like,
so
if
this
we-
person, this is the person that has to guess what? You've been chosen by center stage. This is fun. I like this. I can just drop in on people. So yeah, what we're doing is we're having a vote here, and now I guess your task is to guess what the final tally will be. So we know going into it that 59% thought AI was bad, but we've had the arguments. What do you think it is now? So I guess I'll say above 57% or 59%, I think, or below 59%. Where do you think things have gone?
I feel like the second time around it sort of went down, in terms of like based on like the persuasions alone. Just because I feel like the first like AI's bad team was like, as we were a little more wary of presenting argument upon argument. While I do acknowledge that the arguments themselves were very strong, I just feel like, I don't know, simplicity is the best in this case in terms of persuasion.
So you think it's
Um,
so you think it was 59% bad. Do you think there's going to be more than 59% thinking it's bad now, or less?
I feel like a little less now.
Less. Okay. All right. So I do next, Paul, or I do display?
myself. You can do display.
Display. Okay. Okay, and this was participant guesses, which she did. Okay, and now we find it out. So okay, so now we get 56% bad. So it snuck down a little bit. So the goods won. So that means she doesn't get her $5, right? Or is she? I don't know how the money's working. But the goods won. That was it was a small change, right? 59 to 56. But that's how persuasion often works, right? You persuade some of the people of your argument if you make it well. That was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. So that's sort of the. By the way, we're thinking of using this platform again for the exam review, where I can throw questions out to you, and we can have people answer the questions, and we can see if they're right, etc., and see what everybody agrees on or not, and then I can talk to you a little bit about that concept. So this will likely be back at some point. So for now, though, what I'm going to do is we're going to switch gears a little bit. It's funny. I have this. You construct this ahead of time, and you have this list of things you're going to do. And what Paul doesn't know is I tend to be pretty seat of the pants and just do things on the fly. And so I'm now being constrained by the list and trying to make sure. Yeah. So we had our discussion around the central route. Oh, okay. So here's what I want to do now with you guys. Please plug in a user or skip. Okay. So I'm going to invite somebody on stage. I guess I have to go back to 2. Hey, you got you got voted again. Sure, why not keep with it? And this is just a question I'm going to ask. Why do you like the things that you do? So what I mean by that is music, clothes, the things that you kind of like. How did you come to like them? You can give us any thoughts on that.
I think at first thought, without considering anything else, I think it's sort of an attachment to like me. I don't know if someone looked from like a third person point of view, they might think I'm slightly materialistic because anyone that knows me well, like my family, my mom, my dad, they'll always say, even my brothers, they'll say, well, don't touch his things. He's going to get very mad if you do. Because I'm very attached to my stuff. My family, my mom, dad, everyone's parents, they work hard, they provide. So it's like every object I guess, like I don't want to damage it. I want to keep it good. I want to use it for a long time. I'm very attached. I think
Interesting.
that's why I find and like and find things that I get very important to me. So
Interesting.
my like comes from attachment.
Cool. Anybody else want to jump into that? And I'm going to ask you to dig a little deeper. Why do you like that though? So if there's a certain musical style that you enjoy listening to, let's say, let's just keep it there. How did you come to like that musical style? Why is it so important? Anybody else want to share? And I'll swap you into center stage here for a second. Okay, so I've got one here. We'll
Should we also drop those who have their video off and invite more people from the audience?
So sure. So how do I do this? So
you hover over them.
Yep.
And
And
then
just
there's a little red. No, the little red button.
The little red. Oh, with the people on it.
Yes. And as soon as you click, they go to the audience, and then you click invite. It will bring in more people from the audience.
So is that sort of kicking people out or something? What's going on?
It's moving them to the audience.
It's moving them to the audience. So when I click something, okay. So we're just kind of trying to bring more people into the game here. So people who don't have their cameras on, okay. If you want to stay in the game, keep your camera on the front. Otherwise, yeah. Let me see. And I guess this is a camera on. Okay, so and sorry, and I invited you on the stage. So while you're here, we'll get other people. Sorry, yeah.
Could you click the invite button? So everybody in the audience will get an invite to go on stage.
So hopefully that now will allow others to come on stage. Nobody else is coming. They're scared. We're getting back some of the same people that. All right, so maybe while that's happening, there we are. We're getting more people with cameras off. Fantastic. But go ahead and say, why do you like the music you like?
I feel like I like the music I like and other things that I like in general because they're attached to a good memory, if that makes sense, or attached to people that like I love, or like I care about a lot. So like, I like general pop music. I like any music, but any song specifically or any album that a person introduces to me, I have associated with the memory, or any album that I listen to, I have associated with a time period. So I feel like I go back to those songs to kind of give me like that emotion back. Let's say I was really happy at one point in my life because I was listening to like a Shawn Mendes album or a Sabrina Carpenter album or whatnot. So I go back to that if I'm feeling happy and I just want to keep the vibe up.
Fantastic. So I want to highlight a couple of words she said there. Attached. She's attached that song to something, or associations with that song. So anybody else want to chime in and give some thoughts? And we can change it up. Let's go away from music and say your style, man, the way you dress, the way you present yourself. Why do you choose those clothes and styles? What do you look for, and why do you think you look for that? Does anybody want to sort of jump in on one of those? It can be any material thing you own too, by the way. I'm picking on clothes, but if you want to pick on something else that you really like in your life and you want to tell us why that you think you have that would be great. Nope. Okay, that's cool. We got it. Okay, one more. There we go. Fantastic. Let me swap you. There we go. Center stage, please.
Probably explaining myself a little bit. I have a lot of notebooks.
You have a lot of which? Sorry?
Notebooks, and they're all empty because I don't use them, but I buy them because they're pretty, and I just have a collection.
Because they're pretty. Okay. So that's
or like they're trendy, and then they're like too nice to be used.
Hang on. Slow down with that one. I want to mine trendy. So what do you mean by trendy? Did you see these notebooks somewhere before you started buying them?
So at Indigo or like stores where I go to buy them, they're at the front. They're displayed up high in a way that catches your eye, and it makes you want to buy them. And sometimes I do.
Cool. Sometimes you do. You go for it. Cool. Perfect. That sounds great. Okay, cool. That's what I want to get at, because often when it's the merchandise and things, we're not buying them because of that sort of central route. We don't rationally go through and say, well, I mean, sometimes we do, right? We might say, I need a, Look at that. I made you center stage all by yourself. There you go. I'm sorry. Sometimes, sometimes we rationally buy something. We want a sweater or a jacket, and we know we're going to wear this jacket skiing, let's say. And so we worry about, how warm it is and whether it's got all the pockets that we need. And so sometimes we might be very rational about purchasing a material thing. But most of the time, we're getting the sense of, I like it. It looks pretty. It's good. It's appealing to us at some other level, and all of these associations as well. So let me always keep an eye on my targeted list, see if I'm supposed to be voting. Why do you like the things you do? Yeah. So another brief PowerPoint here. So I'm just going to flip back to here for a moment. Infinite regress, you guys. Sorry. But then I'll flip over here. So we have been talking about the central route. We did debate time. Okay. But now we're going to talk about this peripheral route. And this is, in fact, the route that is most commonly used to persuade you. You are, in fact, being continually bombarded by people trying to convince you, typically, mostly to buy things, but not necessarily to buy things, but to join things, like that program we talked about, or to think something is cool. Which ultimately makes you want to buy it or whatnot. And that's all using this peripheral route. And so the important thing we say here, it says persuaded by cues outside of the message. I'm going to just give you a little story that I gave you a little of in the history of psychology. If you remember John B. Watson, I told you about John B. Watson. He was one of the first behavioralists. We haven't talked about behavioralism in detail yet in the course. We will, I think, in the next chapter, actually, if not pretty soon. But John B. Watson was one of the first people to study behaviorism. And here's the sort of personal story of John B. Watson that's interesting. While he was a professor, he was doing a lot of research on the power of associations, of how people form these associations, and how, like, if you associate a white rat with a scary sound, you can make babies become scared of rats. So he started to show that you can teach humans things via association. Now, while he was doing this at the university, he had an affair with an undergraduate. The university was not happy about that, and they fired him. And he left his $35,000 university professor job, and he went to work for a marketing company for about $70,000 a year. So he doubled his salary going to work for a marketing company. And here's one of the first things that he did. It was a cigarette company that had hired him. And so he asked people to smoke a bunch of different kinds of cigarettes, and he wanted to see if they could tell the difference between the different kinds of cigarettes. And what he found is they couldn't. All the cigarettes basically taste the same. So why should they buy your cigarettes if your cigarettes are just the same as all the other ones? Well, that's where he started doing associations again. That's what he knew. I don't know how many of you know the Marlboro Man. I should have had this one ready to go here, but Marlboro Man ad. These are the kinds of ads that he started creating. So he's selling the cigarettes, but he's a cowboy. A lot, you see cowboys all over here. The Marlboro Man's a cowboy. And so he's associating the cigarette with ruggedness, with strength, with, I guess you could say, sexiness, if you find a cowboy sexy anyway. And that all of the sort of attributes of this, of everything outside of the product starts to be acquired by the product. The product gets those associations. And we've heard that with the music, right? I like that kind of music because I have those positive associations that it brings to mind. And so if you can take your product and you can associate it with good things that people like already, then that makes that product more desirable and it makes people like it. And it does it without them even really being aware that they are being persuaded. And that's the kind of tricky thing about the peripheral route. Not the tricky thing, but it's the truth. The idea is they want you in the grocery store to be looking at 5 kinds of deodorant. Is there deodorant in the grocery store? There aren't some. They want you in the drugstore looking at 5 kinds of deodorant and for some reason saying, I want that one. And I want that one. And you don't know why. You just think you like that one. But they want, it's because they've associated it with a bunch of positive things. So this is how often people are trying to persuade you in the real world. So we want to play with that a little bit here as well. Let me go to stop share so that we don't have infinite regress when I go back over, and there we are. And so it was harder to find a game for this, right? Because it's usually done in a sort of sneaky way. People are just associating things while you're not really paying attention, and you're seeing those associations. But we did come up with an approach, and the idea was this. I'm going to introduce you, yes, to, sorry, still learning to pilot this a little bit. I want to run back to here, and I forgot we had this other slide. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to a product, and I want you to kind of imagine that you are going to create an ad for this product. And so you're going to use the peripheral route kind of approach. And I'm going to ask a couple of you guys to come on stage and tell us what your ad would be. What you would, how you would try to make this product desirable to others, not necessarily through rational arguments, although if you have some rational arguments, that's okay. But more, tell me the context. Tell me how you would actually present this tool. And then yeah, and then we're just gonna sort of vote or do something about your thing, and see how exciting it is. So what's the tool? Well, this is a tool you guys might actually have access to. I'm thinking about reaching out to them. I worked with this company a little bit and seeing if they'll let us have free access on campus. And so it's a tool called Oot. First of all, why is it called Oot? Funny name. It's supposed to be making fun of the Canadian accent, where people who are not Canadian claim that we say things like we're going oot in a boot or something, or I don't know. They say we say our O's like that we're going oot side for something. I don't think we say it quite like that. That's an exaggeration, but that's what Oot is. Get you oot in a boot. Out there and meeting other people. So the idea of the app is if you're the kind of person that would like to meet other human beings in person, how can we make that really easy for you? Or not really easy, because it's never really easy, but easier. And the app essentially does two things: GPS tagging and provision of information. So specifically, here's how it would work. Imagine when you come to UTSC, if you ever have some time and you think, hey, I would love to just chat with somebody right now, you can log into this app and mark yourself as available. You can also see all of the other people that are available, and you can see where they are. So they're geotagged, right? So you can tell, oh, there's people in Tim Hortons that are open to having a conversation right now. And then you can look at those people. And for everybody that's joined the app, there was a part where you laid out what all of your interests are. And so now you can see what that other person's interests are, but most importantly, you can see shared interests. So you could see something like, oh, that person's a Formula One fan, and there's a Formula One race on the weekend that I'm really excited about. I could go over and talk to this complete stranger who's sitting at Tim Hortons about Formula One. And so the claim is that has made some of the original. So first of all, you know that person's willing to chat. And secondly, you have a topic you can start talking with them about. Okay, so that's the app called Oot. And so imagine you have been hired by Oot now, and they know about the peripheral route. And they say, you know what, people are going to be watching TV or whatever, and our ad's going to come on about Oot. What should we do to try to make people like it by using those associations and that sort of thing, kind of like what Watson did? Okay, so that's the task. Stop sharing. Sorry, flip back here. That's the basic task. Get my little list of items again. Where are we? We had a brief PowerPoint. Okay, so what we want to do is another one of these read the rooms, and so I'm getting a little better at this now. We need someone who's going to guess what everybody says. Right now, that person doesn't exist, so I'm going to move them to the. Moving you to the audience too. Everybody, I'm moving to the audience. Yeah, okay, we have a winner. So all you're going to have to do is we're going to do this. There we go, and I'm going to display this. All good. I'm going to display this poll to the audience here, and given what you know now from Oot, how likely is it that you would use Oot? And then we're going to see again after some of these ads if you think they would change your mind. So question for you when we get through here is we have these 4 categories. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just going to ask you which one you think most of the answers are in. Which one got most of the answers? I would for sure. That's 1. I might. That's 2. I don't think so. That's 3. Definitely not 4. What would you pick?
I think those 2 extremes are not picked. I would for sure and definitely not. Because
Okay.
like right now there's not enough trust between the students and the app. So those 2 extremes are just out. And the other thing is that right now we're like taking our exams, so maybe some people are like this is not the priority. But on the other hand, there are many people that they just want to talk about their daily lives, the daily stuff with like other people. So I think they would just go for it. So maybe I might would be the choice.
I might. You're going to go for number 2. I might as the most common. Fantastic. Is this display again, Paul, that I do here? Yeah. Okay, so why we have this up here again? Okay, there we go. I might. Hey, we have a winner. So isn't there something I can do to make things shower down and make her feel good?
That's a little bit different. The first thing to do, I think, would be to invite more people on stage.
To get more.
Could
Yes.
you click? Maybe.
Oh, just
Because
for
if you
the
don't click invite, they can't join.
invite on the bottom. So it never seems. It seems like I'm really good at turfing people, but people aren't kind of coming back. So I think I'm pressing invite. I'm pressing it over and over again, but we're not getting more people coming.
Maybe people are not accepting. They're not in the right.
Yeah. So I mean,
context.
just so to test, if you don't have to open your camera, let's say it that way. But if you even want to keep your camera closed, but you want to accept that invite to come on stage, even for us just to see that was working, that would be appreciated. So I think the invite's out there. I'll click it one more time. It's just invite, eh? I don't need to do anything else. Yeah, okay. Just not a lot of UI. Okay, so I've clicked that. That's okay. We're the group, but people are still out there voting. I'm just.
Okay, it seems like it's not popping up for some people.
So this is under.
Maybe that's why.
So the tech we like to work with often is cutting edge new tech, and sometimes there's tricks going on. So I guess some of you are not seeing the invite to come on stage. So I don't know. I guess here we go. We got one person that was able to join. Fantastic. Okay, we'll let Paul play with that a little in the background as we try to get more people on stage. So okay, we got another one without camera on. That's cool. But you guessed right. And I thought there was what happened to the raining like balloons and stuff, Paul? That's cool. Imagine raining balloons over your head because you got it right. All right. So what we're going to do quickly is we're going to now watch the OOT app. Unless anybody else, does anybody else want? No, I want you guys to do. Yeah, let's do you guys do apps. Okay. So if any of you guys were to be the marketer for for OOT. And I know I'd said, Paul, I'm changing the order of things. I'm messing around with you here. But if any of you guys were the marketers, what would you associate this product with? So we just heard some really good points that maybe this isn't top of student mind right now. Yep, you can continue on if you'd like. Absolutely. So what kind of thing might you associate OOT with to make it more attractive to students?
To students. Okay. So the thing is that I think like these days when people want to talk to each other, they're usually scared of being judged by the people that they're talking to, or maybe they're scared that like okay, maybe they don't have enough time, and then we're talking to them and they're like yeah, I understand, and then they just don't want to hear that because they want to do something else. So we're not sure about this. We have this like uncertainty that like avoid us to communicate with other people. So I think the thing is that if I was the one who wanted to advertise this, so probably I would just show a student in this really big class that like something was going on between the student and the professor maybe, or like the professor has released the exam results or whatever that I know that makes the students like stressed. And then at that time, I would show the student just going to like his or her contacts in order to call someone and talk to and just like start saying, yeah, this professor did this and why. And so, because like all of us need this conversation in order to calm down and then think logically about what's going on. So, but then I would just show the student avoiding calling anyone. Be like, okay, should I call this friend? Oh no, she's in the class. Should I call that one? Should I call my mom? Maybe she's gonna get stressed, especially for like international students that their parents are not with them. And then I would be like, okay, never mind. I would just go to the app and see who has the same situation as me. They'll be like, oh, someone's in Tim Hortons, and then I would just go there and start talking and nagging and stuff, and then I would just end up the advertisement. But that would be, I think, a good one.
Fantastic. I like it. So I like the emotionality around it. I mean, there is some central root to what she's saying too, right? There is some rationality to the approach, which there usually is, but it's that emotional. She needs somebody. Oh, there's somebody right there. I think that would be a powerful moment in the ad. There's somebody I can talk to who's just down the hallway. And I know that she's also in this class, or I know whatever, something, and showing that emotional side of things, and that person being able to get it off their chest and feel better, associating the app with that, helping you through a stressful, difficult situation. I think that sounds fantastic. Anybody else want to put on their little marketing shoes and give a sense of what they might do if they were doing an ad? This is going to be the fun thing I'm going to ask you guys to be doing with your PSAs, right? Is to take some message but make it attractive and maybe have some rational argument for the message. So I'm not going to suggest you only use central or peripheral. I'm just going to suggest these are two levers that you have, rational arguments, but also don't forget the power of the associations, because often that's all some ads use. Anybody else want to? Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Steve, would you be able to add me as a co-host?
Yep. As just in the center.
Opening a new window, clicking on the. No. If you could open a new window, click on the gear icon specifically, and then guess.
All right. Forti.
Complicated. Sorry.
No problem. Go click on the gear icon and game.
No, guest.
What guest. And make you a co-host. Got you.
And then my name is Paul Mitney this time.
Oh, you want Paul Mitney? Okay.
Paul Mitney 40. Paul Mitney 40.
Okay. Should be done. Good. Excellent. Okay. Cool. Yes. Let's hear your ad. What are you thinking of?
For me, I was just gonna I don't know. I don't know. I feel like many people prefer long-lasting relationships. So I was just gonna I don't know, for students show the first day of school, visibly show they don't know anyone yet. It's a new university or a new year. You don't really know many people, and you're just I don't know. You're walking in the middle of the path, just on your own. Everyone has their own groups, and you're and then they're thinking okay, there's this new app. Okay, let me try it out. And you're okay, I see someone who has several common interests. And so then you start showing a sort of montage in a sense where the two people are going through different stages of their life. They're laughing in class together, and then they're taking exams next to each other, and then they're graduating together. They're they're I don't know, they're going through the different life milestones with each other, and then the one friend is having shedding tears as the other friend is grabbing their PhD diploma and stuff like that, and even the different milestones home. And so and then then it starts montaging even into the olden age where I don't know, they decide to have a family, each have a family. They're going to each other's houses, I don't know, laughing at each other's children's birthday parties and such, until they're just growing old, and then
it all started because they connected.
The one, yeah.
See that is a fantastic peripheral route example, because you don't even need words, right? You could imagine her ad where they basically, you imagine these two individuals that are alone, that both decide to go into the app, then they meet, and then you show this progression of these two individuals through the rest of it. You almost don't need words. You could almost just have those visuals, and the associations, the positivity that come out of that one decision they made to both use the app, that would be a fantastic peripheral route ad. Really, really cool. Excellent. We were going to do a bunch of, I'm going to do one more thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you their ad now. So now that we've kind of talked about it, I will highlight this at first by saying they mostly focus right now on the corporate situation. So they'll come into, let's say, a bank, and they'll say, how can we help your employees get to know each other and find each other and have face-to-face interactions, because we know everybody's happier when that happens. And so the ad will be a little more corporate aimed. It won't be university aimed. But let's see how much central route and how much peripheral route. And in fact, that's probably the question I wish I should have asked Paul. But maybe we can. We'll see. Let me show you the ad, and we'll see what we can do with it on the platform as we do it. So I'm going to flip over back to sharing my
I'll
screen.
add it right now.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And I'm going to go over here. I think was the tab. There we go. All right. Wow. I'm worried the sound. Is there something I need to do? I'll play it, but tell me if there's no sound.
There's no sound because you need to share that.
There's no sound?
No sound.
No sound.
Share a tab.
Stop sharing. So when I share, I just have to click something. Share screen. Oh, I have to pick just tab. So I think if I just pick it as a tab, then it will share the sound. Let's just confirm that. Yeah, you're hearing that? Or not?
No, we're not.
You're not hearing that.
It's still not on your end.
Okay, hang on. Share. Stop share. So when I share, this is always one of those things. I don't know if you guys run into this, like on Zoom, there's just some special thing if you want to share audio. Yeah, I mean, maybe I have to do it as a window. The site, choose what to share. Entire screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. This is suboptimal, but I think we're going to need the video, the audio for this. So in the chat right now, I will throw the URL to the YouTube video. Yeah, I can't hear it well, or not at all. Okay, if you could just, well, I'm just going to shut up for a while, and it's just a 2-minute video. So let's just take 2 minutes, and if we can each watch that video and then come back, I'll have it playing here, but of course you guys won't hear it here either. But yeah, let's do that. All right. So shoot, get back here, stop share. All right. So hopefully everyone has had any thoughts, by the way. Anybody want to comment or whatnot? Again, I prefer if you flip your video on if you want to comment as a way of letting me know, and then I'll swap you out. There we go.
Your
You flip your video. I
video
swap.
is off.
Sorry? It's all good?
I was saying if the video's off, then at the top left of your browser, there's a permissions.
Oh, where
button
I
to
can
permissions.
where I can literally flip it on if I want to on people. Yeah. I can't open their camera. So just let me no. I was gonna say that one. That doesn't seem right. Cool. Did you want to? Yeah. What are your thoughts on any of this? So one of the questions I kind of had: what is OOT challenge? What is OOT?
Do you know what OOT is after looking and listening?
Oh, okay. So we want to throw that out there. And this is just an open-ended thing, is it? Where they can just type in.
Yes, you can just speak and give the answer.
Okay. So yeah. So what is OOT? And also, I was wondering about your thoughts about how much central, how much peripheral. What did you think of that, Ed?
I thought it was very much like an infomercial.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They were quoting United Nations, so there's an appeal to authority there.
Yeah.
And it was very much like in your face and not really playing with your emotions. And I thought that made it feel a little bit too commercial. Well, I get that it's like geared towards companies, but yeah, it doesn't feel like you could connect with them on an interpersonal level.
See, that would be great for them to hear, because that's probably exactly not what they're looking for. They're trying to create something that's human. That's what they're trying to emphasize, is the importance of face-to-face human connections. And if it felt at all like, if they had a focus group, by the way, you guys have learned of focus groups, and often when you have ads, you would have a focus group watch that, and you'd say, what did you feel? How did that feel to you? And if they got cold, like if they asked you on a thing of sort of socially warm or socially cold, if you were on the more cold side, they'd be like, missed the mark there, because they're trying to create warm. And you kind of see, in some of these things, let me do a little, okay. Sorry, bouncing back and forth again. I'm going back to the share, but if we just kind of look at this in a little more detail at a few points. So one issue is, how are people responding to one another? And you see these people seem to be very, very happy with each other, right? Generally, there's positive interactions going on. So if we forget about the words, but friendly, positive interactions going on, if you'll notice, there aren't a lot of ugly people in this. Like, even if we take a table like this, here's your average thing. First of all, how old are these people? They are not old at all, at least not by my standards, right? So they're showing a bunch of young people kind of interacting. But then the question is, when you look at these people, this is to your point a little bit, do they look like they're socially connecting? Maybe this person, right, and is maybe socially connecting with this person, but the rest of them not really. Well, okay, we got a little something going on here. But yeah, if you're really trying to create a context where you're trying to associate your app with human warmth and human connectiveness, you may have wanted to bring more of that in, and you may want less of this glass and steel and corporate. Now, this is the dance they're dancing, right? Because they are appealing to a corporate market, and people do sit in rooms like this, and so they want to connect it with that as well. Here we see a little more socialization going on. They went through this one really quick. This is probably sort of the more powerful kind of image, but even then we got some people over here and people over here, and maybe that's okay. But you don't really have that, maybe as much of that sense of warmth. Yeah, cool. Now I have to figure out where you guys are all the time. Flip back here, stop screen. Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on? Wow, we're at 10:23, Paul. We're just sucking time away here. Oh, I'm just realizing what time it is. So that's probably why we're losing people, because they're all in other.
No,
I'm gonna have to reduce this a little bit. Okay, so I mean, we got most of the idea covered. I think I was curious. Did you manage to bring in that central versus? I'm just looking real quick. Okay, no, that's fine. So I am just going to show you one other thing quickly, just from the PowerPoint slide. which for some reason doesn't show when I do that. So I'll do it this way. Because there's some other, really just one other slide I want to give you to help you when you're kind of thinking about creating your PSA. So the claim is, you want some of that central route. You want to try to convince people rationally why what you're pushing makes sense. So there should be some in there, and there was in that OOT app. But you also want to associate your product with things that are fun, interesting, energetic, positive, and that creates more buzz around your product. And here are other things people use. And so, for example, she just mentioned that link to authority in the UN. The UN says whatever. Sorry. So sometimes we have appeals to authority, or we use authority to impress people about things. But these are the other sort of common levers people use. Scarcity. You try to make them think they'd better get your product now, because if they don't, it'll be gone. And you'll see that being used quite a bit. And that kind of motivates us to want to do things. Reciprocity. You ever go into a grocery store and they give you free food, and then they give you a coupon to buy the food that they just gave you free, or to buy a version of that? Reciprocity says if you give somebody something, they feel like they need to do something for you. And if you want them to buy your product, one of the great things to do is to give them something. So this is why there's swag. This is why there's free food in grocery stores, etc. Authority, we talked about. Social proof. In the OOT ad, it would be interesting if they said, hey, 300 companies are already using OOT, and these are among the best, most innovative companies in the world. That would be called social proof. You're saying other people like this. Other people are doing this. You should do it too. Liking, they're more likely to comply. So somebody is more likely to comply with a message if they like the messenger. So the more, and this is why we see famous people hawking products and stuff. If you like that person already and they tell you this is a good thing, then you're more likely to use that thing. And consistency is that people want their beliefs to be consistent with their values. So it says here, if buyers see themselves as good parents, for example, they're more likely to respond to messaging that positions them this way. As a great mom, you know how important it is too. And so that's one of the things you can do too, is appeal to what you think people believe and sort of convince them, hey, if you believe that, you should like our product. So these are all sort of levers that you have available to you as you do that project, to help you persuade others of the importance of your message. And yeah, you should feel free in a fun way in our last project to use these things and bring them into the ads you create. In that final project, we are going to ask you to do two things. One is to create the PSA, but the second is to create a short piece that sort of shows us your thinking. What were you actually thinking about when you created that PSA? And that's really what the TAs are going to look at, is the thought process that you put into that. And so being able to talk about some of these ways that you were trying to persuade others is good. That'll be part of your project. Okay. Mostly, I think that's the show. It was fun to try out this platform. We have. I'm probably going to post something in the announcements. Or Paul, I know there were some questions we were hoping that they might answer. Should I just put a link in the announcements to send a questionnaire to them, or is there another one?
Yes, like a little survey after.
Yeah, cool.
It's a 1 minute feedback.
1 minute feedback kind of thing. Okay. And that naturally happens when they close the screen, or it's something I'm going to push out to them?
It would be great if we could push it.
Yep.
Because a lot of people have left.
So we would love, and we'll absolutely do that. By the way, Paul, a lot of other people will see the recording of this, so they weren't participating at the time. And so maybe we should ask them that question too, whether they were participating or whether they saw the recording. We're really interested to hear your thoughts. This is a weird way to present a class, but we're curious whether you thought this was more fun, more interesting, or not. And let us know, and let Paul know, because his company would appreciate any thoughts. Anything else, Paul? Yeah.
Would it be okay to just try two forms of prompts so people can understand that there's other ways of engaging for like 1 minute?
Sure.
Okay, so I will do that. And we will have you on stage. Mice, could you remind me your name?
He was hoping you'd remind him of your name. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Amina.
Amina, yeah.
Nice to meet you, Amina.
Nice to meet you.
And so this is one of the features.
Oh, so you're she's
Rick?
testing memory.
I guess a good. Okay, actually, I took a picture of it because I knew I would forget. So hold on, let me pull up the picture. I guess a lever that would be easy to use or like would be good. For persuasion in the project would be like, I don't know. We're gonna be wait. So like for the project, are we gonna be like presenting to other students? Like I know like the.
You're
I'm
going
confused. Like,
to create a public service announcement that other students will see and rate. Yes.
okay, so then social proof would be a good because like I guess like we're in the prime age where like we're still susceptible to peer pressure. Hopefully it's more positive than negative peer pressure. But I don't know, we are still in that prime age where we're taking to heart everything that like everyone else does around us, like especially our peers.
There you go. You're getting confetti now, just so you know.
Yeah.
You're getting confetti.
But yeah.
So that's one feature. And the second feature is an option for the whole audience to vote on what you say.
So what are they voting?
So
whether they agree
so
with
the
it?
question would be, which of these do you think would be the most effective?
I mean,
which is what you answered. And you've already got 2 votes.
Yay.
I think we should put someone else on stage so you can compare and they can. Is there an echo when you hear me?
I'd be interested in your creative thoughts too. I mean, Paul's kind of showing us some of the things we could do with this platform, and Paul and I together were thinking, how could we use this? And this is sort of what we came up with today. But as he's showing, there's these other features here where we could have had 2 of you, just like this, and you could have each presented things, and then people could have voted for one or the other, and then ultimately we could have a winner. Come out of there, which again could have raining confetti and possibly some cash come their way. There we go. Oh, so this is that's when you're not a winner. I'll say the opposite. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean that gives you. Sorry, anything else you wanted to throw out there, Paul? No, that gives you a sense of some of the things we can do. And it is kind of interesting to take a professor's point of view and say, how would I wield this tool if I was the professor and using it? We would love to know your thoughts. So with those bigger ideas, you can feel free to send me an email if you say, hey, I was at this thing and this is some thoughts I had. But yeah, we will send a link through the announcements where you could just give some of your feedback to us on how you felt about all of this. Cool. And so, Paul, you will have a recording of this that will find its way to me at some point. Yeah, cool. Fantastic. Okay, so I think that's it. That was the persuasion game. Interesting. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, all of you who participated. I really appreciate it. I know your faces much better now. When you come to me for reference letters, I'll know who you are. Well done. It's very smart. And I will see you guys. I hope you have a great long weekend other than the stuff I'm doing to you. And I will see some of you guys next Wednesday morning.